All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Detroit Lions in today's video. A couple of news in the last 24 hours. First off, offensive coordinator will be Mr. John Morton. We made a video about him yesterday, but we're going to do another dive in today's video. And then just some bad news here. This isn't unexpected bad news, though, if that makes it any better. There was a report today that the Jets are considering Lions coach for offensive coordinator position. So according to a report from NFL insider Josing Anderson, the New York Jets are involved in substantive discussions, I think I said that word wrong, with Lions pass game coordinator Tanner Engstrand for their offensive coordinator vacancy. And then NFL reporter Aaron Wilson added to the report that his sources said expressed confidence he will land the job. So Tanner joined the Detroit Lions in 2020 as an offensive assistant. He was then promoted to tight ends coach / passing game coordinator in 2022. And he was like for a week, I would say, or like the week before the season officially ended, the Detroit Lions, when they got eliminated, sorry that I even said it out loud, a lot of people viewed him, myself included, as like the most likely internal guy to be the offensive coordinator for this team. And, it makes sense because he's with the team, or internal hire, but they decided to go externally with John Morton to be the OC. And this is just what happens. Like, this isn't really unexpected to me. So just let me zoom out here. We'll go through the coaching staff, who you've lost and promotions, who you've gained, et cetera, et cetera. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Detroit Lions content on this channel. Thank you guys so much. We're getting close. We're like 300 subs away from 2,000. If we could try and get this video to 100 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. So this offseason, so far in the last couple of weeks, the following coaches have parted ways with the Detroit Lions: offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, assistant QB coach JT Barrett, wide receiver coach Antoine Randall L, defensive line coach Terrell Williams, and then this happened today, assistant defensive line coach Cameron Davis also just parted with the Detroit Lions. Here are the coaches that have been promoted. Linebacker coach Kelvin Shepard is now the defensive coordinator for the team. Offensive line coach Hank Fraley is now the O-line coach / run game coordinator, and assistant linebacker coach Sean Dion Hamilton is now the linebacker coach. They also added defensive line coach Casey Rogers, who was formerly with the same job in Tampa Bay, and offensive coordinator John Morton, who was the Broncos pass game coordinator last season. There is currently no assistant QB coach yet and no wide receiver coach, but once again, John Morton got hired, technically in the last 24 hours. This is just what happens, and now it looks like the whole point of this article is that Tanner Engstrand is most likely, according to this one report, to be the offensive coordinator over in New York. And this all kind of goes hand in hand with John Morton. So a lot of people wanted Tanner Engstrand, right? Or Scotty Montgomery, who's the Lions running back coach. The concern people have with John Morton is he's going to be too pass heavy. And I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. I really don't think it's an issue. There were clear games, like specifically game 2 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where Jared Goff threw the football way too much. It was the first loss of the season. It was week 2. They didn't lose another game for months. But he threw 34 completions on 55 passes, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Jared Goff should never throw the football 55 times, and that was quickly figured out. Against Arizona in week 3, only threw it 23 times. Week 4 against Seattle, the perfect 18 for 18, and then he didn't sniff 30 all the way until that Houston game, where he also threw 5 interceptions and they were coming from behind. I don't really have concerns with John Morton being too pass heavy because I think Jared Goff, I'm not going to complain if Jared Goff's throwing the ball 25 to 35 times a football game, but Morton does have experience as an offensive coordinator. He was the Jets OC back in 2017. I'm sure you guys have seen it, the roster that he had. We talked about it in our video last night. That year, the Jets went 5-11. The offense only averaged 18.6 per game, which was 24th in the league, but their starting quarterback was 38-year-old Josh McCown. Their leading receiver was Robbie Chosen Anderson, right? You have a 38-year-old Josh McCown as the starting quarterback. But here's what's crazy. 38-year-old Josh McCown was the first off the starting QB for the Jets in that season, which is just crazy. Time really flies. He threw for a career high in passing yards. Running back Bilal Powell notched a career high in rushing yards as well, and he was fired at the end of the season. And Todd Bowles, also fun fact, was the head coach of that New York Jets team. DC of that Jets team. Anyways, that's his only OC experience in the NFL. That's what he had to deal with. I mean, he had to deal with Matt Forte pretty much. I think that was Matt Forte's last season. There was no weapons anywhere. The offensive line was not good. That was just the dysfunctionality of the Jets for, I mean, pretty much my entire childhood, and kind of still not trying to take shots at the Jets. But my point is, that's a bad example. As far as him being way too pass heavy, I just don't think there's enough back. I don't think there's enough like film to make that. I know I'm not doing a good job right now in the last 10 seconds of explaining it, but I don't think it's big enough of a sample size to be like, oh, he's going to throw the ball way too much. We should have gone with Tanner Engstrand. Also, Scotty Montgomery is still with the Detroit Lions, and Hank Fraley. Like, they're going to run the ball. But here's a fun fact. Jared Goff led the NFL in play action pass attempts in 2024. Number 2 was Bo Nix, the rookie in Denver, where he was the passing game coordinator with the Broncos. And Bo Nix just had an unbelievable rookie campaign. He did a phenomenal job with not really any weapons, like household weapons, outside of maybe Cortland Sutton. I mean, football fans know who Cortland Sutton is, but there's no like clear-cut stud wide receiver number 1. There's no tight end number 1. Adam Troutman was their starting tight end. Running back room, Javonte Williams had a horrible season. Jaleel McLaughlin. There weren't really too many weapons, household weapons, on the Denver Broncos offense, and they won 10 football games and made the playoffs for the first time since, I believe, the 2015 NFL season. Maybe it's 2016, one of those 2 years. So I feel really good about Morton as far as like, oh, here's exactly how his scheme's going to go. We'll deal with all of that in the next month because we don't have free agency beginning for like 5 or 6 more weeks, and we don't have Lions live football for a extremely long time. But the point is, one thing we saw a lot of, and you're seeing this all over Twitter and Lions websites, etc. One thing that the Sean Payton and Morton did a really good job of in Denver were screenplays. I'm looking at Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm looking at Jameson Williams. I'm looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown. These guys are going to have really good seasons. This offense is still extremely good. And I think you could argue Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, they're only getting better. So external hire, I get it. There's some question marks. There's some skepticism. But it would be the same thing if Scotty Montgomery was the OC, or if Hank Fraley was the OC, or if Tanner Engstrand was the OC. So I'm feeling hopeful. I hope you guys are as well. That's all we have for tonight. Hit the like button, hit that sub button for daily Lions content, and give me your thoughts on John Morton, the new OC in Detroit. Peace.